Estás viendo Canal América, televisión dominicana para el mundo.
A Time for Truth show is sponsored by the Office of Dr. Bernard Fialkoff, a periodontal, dental implant and laser specialist in New York City, for over 40 years. Dr. Fialkoff was honored by the International College of Dentists and Pierre Fauchard, and received the Presidential Lifetime Humanitarian Honor from the White House. Call us at 718-229-3838.
Sometimes life can be so damn hard. You don't know where to go. Everything keeps falling apart. Yeah. You try to do your best, but only God knows that you've given everything you've got, but the world takes you down. You just keep moving on. Let your fears.
Welcome to A Time for Truth show. I'm your host, Dr. Bernard Fialkoff, and it's a pleasure to have you back again. We're solidly into 2025, and baby, it's cold outside, but it's nice and warm in our studios. And first thing I want to do is answer a question many of you have. How do I find the other episodes? How do I become a member? It's very simple. Go on YouTube, click A Time for Truth show. A Time for Truth show. Hit the subscribe button, and you'll be availed of all the previous episodes on so many different topics that you're going to love. And tonight we want to get right to it because we have such an important one. And this one has to do with the stress in our lives. You know, that quality or quantity, or, you know, the other words we probably would use for it that we can't use on TV, that we just don't like and we'd like to do something about. We're going to find out how to do something about stress tonight. And first we'll introduce our guest, who's an advanced spiritual counselor, Buddha. Let's put her pictures up on the screen. And we'll introduce advanced spiritual counselor Caralyn Percy from Brooklyn, New York, a professional singer, a married mother of 3, a grandmother of 1. Right now, there'll be more. She's a member of SAG and AFTRA, having performed in the Caribbean, Northeast, in California, and having recorded for the Dick Tracy soundtrack. As a dedicated humanitarian, she has traveled and lived in Boston, New Hampshire, Los Angeles, New York, and really many other areas. She started as an elementary school teacher in Brooklyn and subsequently traveled to Los Angeles to begin her singing career. While there as an artist, her friends introduced her, along with her husband, to Scientology, spiritual technology. And this aided her in the many facets of her professional and family life. And her success and realizations led her to dedicate herself to community service at the Church of Scientology, Harlem, and also at the Way to Happiness Common Sense Guide for Better Living. She's done so amazingly for over 30 years. And there you see Caralyn. That other one was probably a friend of hers trying to get in on the show. Couldn't resist. Okay, Caralyn. So let's bring a warm welcome, Buddha, to Caralyn Percy, to A Time for Truth show. And let's bring her up live.
Wow. That was exciting. Thank you.
Welcome, Caralyn.
I made a new friend.
Yes. Gloria couldn't resist being with you.
Exactly.
But it's okay. You're 2 beautiful women. And, you know, that decreases stress right away. But,
absolutely.
You know, let me ask you right away, because there's so much I know I want to cover with you. So as a professional artist and a singer, I'm curious, and a lot of viewers probably are curious, what led you to explore and investigate Scientology?
Well, actually, Scientology led me into singing, interestingly. I was a teacher in Brooklyn, New York, an elementary school teacher, And I wanted to be a better teacher. And so I was interested in this technology to help your students. So that's where I started. And then after teaching for 5 years, I got married to the teacher across the hall from me, and he was the one who introduced me to Scientology. And we moved to California. And that's when I actually started my singing career, like kind of late usually, but for people. But I started then, and Scientology really helped me to be very, very confident, even though I had never gone to music school. And but I started working with a professional who had worked with other people. It would be kind of like America's Got Talent, one of those things, like a precursor to that. And I just, my career kind of moved along. I started, you know, getting gigs and having more kids, and Scientology kept it all kind of together.
Interesting. So tell us a little bit about that from your own personal viewpoint before we get into other things. But so what did you find, because I know the viewers probably are very interested, what was it that like you found was helpful for you in getting that, you know, getting forward?
Right. I think it's the workability, the practical workability of Scientology, because, you know, as an artist, as a singer, as a performer, you're communicating with an audience, but you also have people backstage. You also have, you know, behind the scenes people. And so the audience is always wonderful. The behind the scenes people, not always so much, you know, it depends. And so I like the practicality of it, the things that I had to observe for myself, the things that I could use to, you know, change things in my life, to avoid people who I started feeling like uncomfortable around. And I didn't have to go down a, you know, a rabbit hole with them. I just noticed it right away just from my studies. And so it kept things kind of smooth. And then I had to keep my family together and my husband and my kids and balance it all out, you know?
Right.
And so the practicality of it is what drew me to it, and the spirituality combined with the practicality.
Interesting. And I want to ask you a question because, you know, I see so many people experiences in their lives. They're doing well, then all of a sudden they're not doing well.
Right.
And I know a lot of people complain that, you know, they're happy, and then the next thing you know, they're not happy. So my question to you is, because I know you're very trained, is our emotional ups and downs or mood swings, is that just the way it is in life and we just have to get used to it? Or tell us a little bit about that.
Well, most people think that, which is why it continues, you know, with them. What I found was Mr. Hubbard has a very specific practical information about what type of personality can uplift you and what type of personality can push you down. So you could be hanging around the uplifting people, and then all of a sudden you start, you know, roller coastering, as we say, or going up and down. And so he had 12 different characteristics of each type that you can see with your own eyes, you know. And the hard thing to believe, or the hard thing to use in this, is that most of us are walking around in life not trying to destroy other people, not trying to give other people a hard time, not trying to make people sick, not trying to undermine people. We're just not thinking that way. We may not be perfect, but we're not thinking that way all the time. Whereas this other personality type is looking through eyes that most people are not used to looking through. And so they miss the telltale signs of the type of personality that can cause a tremendous amount of stress in your life or in the lives of people who are close to you. And now you don't know, wait a minute, they were doing great. Now they're in the hospital, or whoa, they just had an accident. You know, what's going on? And so I found this information to be vital in no matter what you're doing in life, whether you're an artist, a teacher, a mother, a worker, a student, a child, you know, anybody who can get this information, their eyes start to open, and you start to see that, wait a minute, stress isn't something that's just part of life. It's caused by something.
Interesting. So, you know, engineer, if you get the video ready, let's put the video on. And there's a video you brought us on this ups and downs, and a course that, you know, you have at the center regarding stress and what you were talking about. And if that video is ready, engineer, let's go ahead and put it on for the viewers.
Why does someone who is doing well in life suddenly worsen or begin to fail? It's almost as if some people are living their life on a roller coaster.
Great interview.
Thank you.
You'll be hearing from us very soon.
They're up one day
Thank you very much.
and down the next. Why does life sometimes seem so stressful? And what causes us to become uncertain about our abilities or our goals?
Matt, what are your thoughts on this?
I don't know.
Well, there is an explanation for this behavior, and it has nothing to do with bad luck or fate. Each of these people is experiencing suppression. In other words, someone is trying to squash them, hold them back, or make them fail. The truth is, there are certain people who are actively trying to prevent the rest of us from doing well.
So, it's time to start applying for colleges. Have you given any thought to this?
Yeah, I'd actually like to get a degree in chemical engineering. I'm interested in researching environmentally friendly biofuel technology.
So much so that if you have a purpose or a dream in life, they will squash it.
Really? Years of study. I'm looking at your grades and I see that you have some aptitude for science, but everyone knows that's a highly competitive field. Have you considered your other options? How about community college?
So how can we tell who these people are? Well, there are in fact only two types of people: the social personality and the antisocial personality. And in Scientology, it was discovered that each have very different but identifiable behavior patterns. For example, the social personality, by nature, wants to survive well, and wants others to survive well too. Whereas the antisocial personality thinks all other people are his enemies, to be openly or secretly destroyed.
Hey! You dropped your wallets.
You see, they don't trust people to a point of terror. Since crime and criminal acts are committed by the antisocial personalities, it's this second type that is the root of most trouble. And unfortunately, they tend to go undetected.
Eve! I just had the best interview. I really think I'm gonna get this job. They really like me. That's my new dress.
And?
I haven't even worn it yet.
Wow.
While their actions are calculated to be destructive,
Calm down, Em.
they appear quite rational,
You always make a big deal out of nothing.
and they can be very convincing.
It's just clothes.
I'm sorry, you're right. Have a good time. It looks really pretty on you.
I know, right? Thanks.
Their basic intent is to keep others down. So they compulsively and cleverly do just that.
Did you hear? They say there's going to be layoffs, budget cuts. Any of you teachers who aren't cutting it. Has anybody seen the sugar?
Artists in particular are magnets for these people, who view their art as something to be destroyed. So as a friend, they try to do just that.
I'm awfully sorry. I didn't mean to get your hopes up. Let me be honest with you. Everybody in town thinks that you're, well, just not good.
Where dreams mysteriously shatter, look for the antisocial personality hidden in their midst.
Why the failing grade on your test? It's as if you didn't even try.
Why should I? What's the point?
Even though they make up only about 20% of the population, the havoc they can wreak can be devastating. It would save us all a lot of failure and heartbreak if we could detect who these people are. Fortunately, in Scientology, it was discovered that these people can be detected simply by examining their conduct. You see, there are actually distinct characteristics that all antisocial personalities have in common. And these same characteristics, reversed, will be found in a social personality. Compare one list against the other, and you'll know which type you're dealing with. For example, an antisocial personality has a bad sense of property and thinks that nothing is really owned.
It's just clothes.
But a social personality knows that property belongs to someone, and its theft or misuse is frowned upon. Here's another example. A social person is eager to relay good news, and tends to be specific about who said what and what exactly they said.
So, great news. The Voice called you a genius. Great work. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Whereas the antisocial personality does the complete opposite with communication.
No, she's not. What is this regarding?
They will not pass on good news.
A job. Yeah, I think she mentioned something about an interview. I'll let her know you called. Finally, I'm starving.
I'm sorry, it was so...
Good news is stopped.
Did I get any calls?
No.
And they speak in generalities, using expressions such as they say and everyone thinks.
Did you remember the hot sauce?
No, I forgot.
Well, everybody knows you do that.
While a social personality tends to reassure those around him.
You're one of my top students. I know you can do this.
The antisocial person deals mainly in bad news.
Did you hear? They say there's going to be layoffs.
And critical or hostile remarks.
You always make a big deal out of nothing.
Furthermore, the antisocial personality will alter communication to make it worse.
What do you think of him? He's got some growing to do, but he shows a lot of promise.
Let me be honest with you. Everybody in town thinks that you're just, well, not good.
As a result, those associated with an antisocial personality tend to be unhappy and behave in a crippled manner in life. And they get sick more often than others. On the other hand, a social personality's friends and associates tend to be well, happy, and of good morale. It's easy to see how important it is to be able to spot who these suppressive people are. Once you know who's behind your unexplained failures and misfortunes, you'll be able to change your life for the better with solutions that make those ups and downs a thing of the past.
Well done. Good job. You're so on. All right.
With these tools, you can choose your friends and associates wisely and build a better life for yourself and those around you. Once relieved of the burden of suppression, anyone can lift their head, become well and happy with life again.
I'd like to introduce you all to the hottest new artist in town.
Armed with this knowledge, there's no limit to how much we can all flourish.
Well, that's amazing, because when I look at it, it's talking exactly about what the Surgeon General talked about in having positive relationships, not negative relationships, and the scientific evidence on that it causes stress, physical and mental, problems. So it's wild. So tell us about this course and how it works.
Well, it looks like this. It's called Overcoming Ups and Downs in Life. See, something's going up, something's coming down. And it's pretty simple. It doesn't take very long to do. You're studying it at your own pace, but you definitely need this information if you want to know. Like most people, if they get sick or they fall down or they lose a job, they find some reason why it happened that way, or well, life is just that way. They come up with some explanation. But this information gets you to really take a look at your associations, the people that you're connected to, or even have talked to on the phone, or have social media communication with. It's a connection, definite connection. And you study the positive as well as the negative, the social and the antisocial. And so I just find some people have done this course 2 or 3 times, because the first time they just kind of can't believe some of the stuff that goes on in the minds of these people that cause so much turmoil in people's lives, illness and children having problems. They just think, it can't be. And then they study it again and they go, wait a minute. Because you're asked on the course to look at your associations. And so that's what I found so interesting. And then you see the befores and after. You see the person who, is depressed and upset. And next thing you know, they're not that way anymore because they isolated what was it that was causing this problem in their life. And they used the information to fix it.
So it's very interesting. So it's like, it's not a philosophical, it's a hands-on course. So it actually, you do things to actually help to handle it then, handle the stress.
That's correct.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. And, I know as a surgeon, some of my patients do so well, other ones seem to do well, The next time they come in and they're really unhappy, they're not doing well, and then they're in our environment and they get better and they seem to be okay, and then the next day they call us again, and that's quite interesting. So tell us a little bit about that. Is that like, are there different successes or problems that you see because of this?
Absolutely. I mean, a whole family came into our church, to Scientology, and like the father, the mother, and the sons, the two sons. And this was, I guess this was a bit after COVID. And the mother was and the father were very concerned about one of their sons, because he just nosedived, was doing very well and just nosedived. So the mother herself wanted to do these courses, and she started with overcoming ups and downs in life. And she knew that there was a connection that one of the sons had that was not good for him, but she didn't know exactly why, and she couldn't explain it to him. And when she studied this information, it was kind of like an aha moment, you know. And then she brought him in and had him study the information as well. He did the course too. And there was a change. You know, he wasn't going up and down anymore. He wasn't, you know, being suggested to be put on medications. You know, these things just kind of fell away when he got the information that he could use to find out why his life was going that way.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm just reading here now about one day up, the next day down.
Exactly.
But now you can gain stability. And what I was going to ask you is, you know, probably a lot of viewers are out there and say, well, I don't know anything about this. Do you have to qualify to do this? Or like, is there something that has to happen, or anyone can do the course? Or
like a prerequisite or something? No, anybody could do this course. You just come in and you sit down with somebody, and you get your story, you know, and sign you up, and you can start right away. It's continuous enrollment.
Okay. And so what happens is when they come in, there's like a little study room where you would study this course, and so you know that you're doing it correctly?
Yeah, absolutely. You have somebody called a supervisor as opposed to a teacher.
Okay.
Or an instructor, and you're not sitting in a class listening to a lecture or writing notes or doing homework. You're studying at your own pace, and you don't move forward to the next part of the course until you fully understand it, and then you move on. And so people really like it, because some people take longer in certain parts than others, because they just are looking at more things in their life, you know. Other people, you know, just struggle a little bit just even accepting the information. I've seen that happen, where a person, no, it couldn't be this. And then they go out in life and they see it, and then they come back and they go, okay, you know, the light bulbs went off when they went into the environment where these things were happening, and they noticed what it said in the material was actually what was happening. And so that's what I liked about this course. A person can't grow, and they can't expand, and they can't keep their, you know, their
gains and
things like that. You know, when a new year comes and they make resolutions, it's hard to keep those resolutions when you have a connection to somebody who really doesn't want you to thrive. They want you to, you know, succumb.
Interesting. It's almost like you're their meal.
Yeah, exactly.
you're their next meal or something. Yeah, it's like, you know, as you were talking, I was thinking about this, because I see it in my own life, how I run into situations where when I saw this, and it's interesting because the people that I thought maybe were doing it gave me the most trouble, but that would make sense, right? That they try to stop you.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. They
try to make it like seem like you're crazy doing it.
Oh yeah, like it's your problem. You're the problem. You're the reason why things are going bad. Yeah, this is the kind of stuff that you would want your children to learn, you know. And in fact, as a mother, you know, raising my kids, because I knew this information, some of their friends, not a lot, just a very small percentage, were just nutty as all get out. And so, it was basically because they had these traits. And children are not usually like this, but every now and again you will find one. I remember my daughter had one friend who basically punched her. She was on her way to school, you know, and I just checked him out and sat down and talked to him, and I thought, okay. And it was the only one in all of her friends, this was in New Hampshire, who had these traits. And so I just kept my kids away from them, you know?
Yeah. Wow.
I mean, an adult can learn how to handle them, but sometimes children, it's a little bit more difficult. So for the parent, it's best to just keep them at arm's length and let the child thrive.
Absolutely. Now, and if someone wants to take the course, what number do they call?
Okay, so they would call 212-828-1825.
Okay.
I'll give it again, 212-828-1825. 828-1825. And the organization is on 125th Street, 2 buildings. They're on either side of the beautiful library. And it's between 2nd and 3rd Avenue. Most people who have gone down 125th Street, they've seen these 2 buildings. One says Scientology Community Center, and the other one says Church of Scientology. And so the Community Center is not only a center for studies, but it's also a center for people in the community to hold events if they would like.
Very interesting. You know, I was going to ask you a question because, so this word, what does it mean? Does this like have a specific meaning? Or?
Good point. Scientology, well, ology means study of. When you put that at the end of any word, it means study of. And Scientology comes from a Latin word, scio, which means to know, and it's knowing in the fullest sense of the word. But it's also combining spirituality with knowledge, with study, you know, with truth. And so it's the study of knowing. So when you know how to handle stress and you know the types of personalities that can cause things in your life, you're using Scientology.
Interesting. It's interesting because on the cover here, I love this picture on the cover of, you know, of like going from the darkness
That's right.
up into the light, you know?
Yeah.
And so, like when people come into your organization, what are the different problems they come in with?
A lot of times people come in with stress. They come in with financial difficulties. They come in with ups and downs in life, or they come in with problems with lack of motivation. And sometimes lack of motivation is also a sign that the person has somebody in their environment that's holding them back. Sometimes they have problems managing their time. And all of these courses are life improvement courses. And so we listen to what they have to say. We listen to the area that they want to address. But overcoming ups and downs in life is probably the most popular one because it's the one that people have the most difficulty handling or resolving. You know, why one day they're doing great and the next day not so great, or their business was going really well and then all of a sudden something happened and there was some kind of crash, you know, or they were doing well in life and then they had a car accident. And so, you know, a lot of people can identify with that or relate to it, but they don't know. They look at themselves. They think, well, what am I doing? And they rarely look to see who they're connected to.
Right, makes sense. You know, what I was thinking is, it seems like artists and singers, I'm thinking of a few of them already on the top of my head. You would know being a singer. It seems like artists have a magnet for this or something,
They totally are a magnet for these people because an artist is creative and they attract attention. And so even just a person, I was talking to a guy 2 days ago, and he's a director. And he was talking about growing up and how he had all these ideas and these artistic ideas. And he said people around him were always telling him, why are you thinking that way? Well, it had to be probably not people, probably one person, right? But, you know, he had artistic endeavors and people were just kind of just squashing him. And he's still trying to handle it. He's 37 years old and he still hasn't figured it out. So I was actually showing him this book because it has some of the information that's also on that course. It's in here.
What is that book called?
A New Slant on Life.
Okay.
You know, and so the information in this, there's lots of information in this book, but the information on that course, Ups and Downs in Life, is also in this book.
It's in the book.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I like the center of it has a lot of color.
Yeah, it's in color.
And around it is all darkness and like
Black and
a
white.
tornado or something. It's got a solar eclipse. It doesn't look too good, but I like to go through the door.
Yeah.
So I guess it's a new way of finding your way through the door.
Yeah, the word slant here is defined as viewpoint. It's like a new viewpoint on life.
A new way of looking at things.
Yeah, a new way of looking at things.
Okay.
That's right.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
I'm curious, like when you do this and you have people come into your center, what are some of the comments once they finish the course?
Well, usually they just, you know, like one lady, she finished a course today and she said that she was always getting distracted and not able to finish the thing she was starting. And it was just adding more and more time to the things she was trying to accomplish in life. And she realized that she was doing effective time management. I think that was the course she was doing.
Managing time's a biggie.
Exactly. And so basically you just get the tools, just what you need, not a whole bunch of extra stuff, just what you need to handle a particular area of life that you're having trouble with.
Wow. I guess for you, you're a singer, you're trying to help people, it's like, I would think you must be a magnet for this then. You're teaching me, so as I'm thinking about this, do you find that sometimes you have to weed these out of your life?
Oh yeah, I mean, I just, about 4 days ago, I contacted one of these types of persons, and I wasn't fully aware of it right away. It took me about 3 hours to realize what had actually happened when I was, you know, interacting with different people. When I interact with a lot of people. And so it just gives you some relief, because at first you're thinking, what's going on? And then, oh, wait a minute, and you go, zzz, like reversing, you know, a camera or whatever. And I realized exactly who the person was, what they said, that caused me to have this kind of like cloud around my head. So yeah. And so, as opposed to winding up in a hospital or winding up with an accident, you know, I didn't have to go that far.
So you found it and you cut it out of your life.
Exactly.
Well, I tell you, unfortunately, like all things that are good, we've run out of time.
Oh no, really? This is so fun.
Yes, we've run out of time, and it was definitely fun. I'd like to have you back, because I know you. I was looking through this magazine that you brought, and I see there's a lot of other things here that I don't even want to get into tonight, because we don't have any more time. But thank you for coming. And now, again, for those viewers out there, so I guess this has to do with weeding our garden. If we're going to have the flowers, the roses, the chrysanthemums, the tulips grow, we have to weed. That's a part of life.
That's right.
So if anyone wants to learn how to weed on this ups and downs course, what's the number again?
The number is 212-828-1825. Just ask for Caralyn Percy or the lady with the beautiful beret.
There you go. So for those of you watching, no more ups and downs. We're just going to get clearance from traffic control and climb right to your destination.
Absolutely.
We hope you've enjoyed the show. Have a very good night. We'll see you on the next episode of A Time for Truth show. Good night.
This show was sponsored by A Time for Truth Foundation Incorporated as a community service.
Sometimes life can be so damn hard. You don't know where to go. Everything keeps falling apart. Yeah. You try to do your best, but only God knows that you've given everything you've got, but the world takes you down. You just keep moving on. Let your feet